and here welcome back to more Umineko When Seagulls Cry. We should golden land, don't you?
叶えた夢がいっぱいあるんでしょ
What will Shannon say?
ガープ
Oh, nothing. Okay, fine.
挑発はいけませんよ。これはあなたのゲームではない。親方様の、そしてお嬢様のゲームです。
どうしたロノウェイ。
いえいえ何も。捕虜とおしゃべりをしていました。お許しを。
Sent one final sneering smile at Cannon, then turned away. Cannon could only bite his lower lip and shake his fists.
くそ。
よく頑張ったね。よく我慢したよ。
僕たちは無力だ。家具だから。
Well, if you were humans without really help, would it really?
そうだね。私たちは無力。
Look at all the other humans in there.
でも家具は必要とされることだって、そして愛されることだってあるよ。今の私たちは暗い地下室にしまわれているだけ。きっといつか誰かが愛してくれる。必要としてくれるから。だから今は挑発に乗らないで耐えよう。ね。
お父さん、ゴーダたちを倉庫に閉じ込めるよう指示をしました。
よかろう。電話を切ってよい。シエスタ姉妹。孫たちがゴーダと熊沢を閉じ込めるのを監視せよ。もしも不審な動きがあるようならば、その時点で次期当主を選ぶテストは終了だ。
Kinzo made his order. The Siesta's sisters appeared behind him in the line.
了解であります。石膏は私がやる。556と410は両翼支援。45は全集計回路。
00-556は。
そうだった。すまない。
いい子でした。
What?
だから私は嫌いに。いいやつは。
何をしているかシエスタ姉妹。我が命令を遂行せよ。
失礼しました。では監視に向かうであります。出撃。
Siesta's sisters raised their forms simultaneously. Nanjo and Kiria had witnessed the instance they appeared and disappeared as if by teleportation. They've interpreted this as moving in and out of darkness in a way. Only looked like teleportation. The two could do nothing but rub their eyes.
さて、私はテストの準備をしよう。ロノウェイ、ガープ。お前たちには試験官を頼む。ワルギリアはこやつらを監視するように。何しろ我が家具が2人いる。一応は警戒せよ。
He glanced at Shannon and Cannon. Tightly closing her eyes, Shannon gave a silent bow and answered wordlessly, avoiding any unnecessary actions.
かしこまりました。注意します。リーアの老体には寒くて辛くない？湯たんぽでも持ってくる？うるさいです。早く追いきなさい。ガップ。
さてさて、テストとは、そして試験官とは、今回のゲームは変わった試みですね。 お嬢様を楽しませる展開になると良いのですが。
さあさあおいでなさい、ヤギの従者たち。
Igilia began to call out into the darkness, and from that spot, 3 massive goat-headed attendants suddenly appeared.
リーチェの眷属ね。便利だわ。しかも暖かそうだし。ああ、湯たんぽの代わりね。
Ah dear.
ならヤギより羊の方がいいんじゃない？カシミヤ雑巾のくせにうるさいですよ。彼らは賢くはありませんが、命令に忠実で強靭な頼れる従者たちです。
任せるぞ。我が友ワルギリアよ。残りの者は私と来い。
With a dignified gesture, Enzo fluttered his coat cloak, following him over an Orvean gap, as well as the 3 recently summoned ghost attendants.
あなたたちは私と残るのですよ。ついていかないように。
The goats jumped in surprise and then came tottering back. Kyrie, who'd been watching stunned as all of this played out, couldn't help but snort.
愉快な部下ね。ゴールドスミス教より死後の許可は与えられていませんよ。
And he's gone. He was probably embarrassed. Igilia had spoken coolly, but Kyrie saw through that, and for a little while, she couldn't restrain her muffled laughter. However, on the inside, Kyrie was surprised at the number of people Kinzo had with him. After all, including Kinzo himself, at least 10 enemies had already been spotted. The dungeon they were currently locked in was supposedly underneath the hidden mansion called Guardorian. Though this mansion had been whispered of, not even Kraus had known of its existence until today. Are there actually several facilities like this on Rokkenjima, where many unknown henchmen that only Kinzo knows of hide? Just how many humans are on Rokkenjima, locked away by the typhoon? No, on the contrary. Were we the only ones under the impression that there were only 18 people on this island? Were we, who bickered over whether Beatrice existed or not, and worried about whether a 19th person existed or not, nothing more than the frogs in the well at this island? No wait, not only that. By now, are there actually more people on the enemy side than on ours?
何が起こってるの？一体。魔女？悪魔？魔法？それを信じろというの？おかしいのは私の目？それとも頭なの？
Yes.
頭がどうにかなりそうよ。
Mass murder by magic. Demons forming and disappearing into thin air. Setting aside the enemy's numbers. How should we interpret the various things thrust before our eyes that cannot be explained with the common sense of our world? Kyrie started to feel like she didn't know what was going on anymore. While desperately battling the urge to abandon everything and give up, she grit her teeth and tried to hold on to her sanity. Obviously, Gordon and Kumasawa were quite unwilling to be locked in the Rose Garden shed. But they were threatened that, if they resisted, the hostage's safety could not be guaranteed. It was fairly hard to get them to agree. Once they started thinking that their safety might actually be guaranteed if the key to the garden and storehouse was to be handed to them after being shut inside. And when it was decided that blankets and food would be carried in for them, they were finally convinced.
ここは寒々しいですね。私たちはいつまでここに閉じ込められていればいいのでしょうか。
下手をすると月曜の朝まで丸々一昼夜はいてもらうことになるかもしれない。本当にお二人には申し訳なく思うよ。
George and Bachelor cleared a space on the floor, then spread blankets there. They also left for canned food, crackers, and other light snacks they had brought.
月曜の朝までを2人でこの量じゃ辛いな。せめて厨房に言われたなら。
余計な場所には行くなと言われてる。私たちは監視されてるらしいしな。くそ。
何もお力になれないことを申し訳なく思います。こんな時に皆さんのおそばにいてこその私どもなのに。
仕方ないです。それより熊沢さんをよろしく頼みますね。何が起こるかわからない。いざという時は臨機応変に助けてほしい。そして何よりも無事でいてほしい。
ええ、分かっています。皆さんこそ気をつけてくださいね。今の親方様はまるで人の命をチェスの駒のように奪います。気をつけてください。
Oda stared at the floor, even now unable to believe what had happened as he remembered that atrocity in the dining hall. And he hung his head in shame at his failure to fully describe that terror.
ありがとう。くれぐれも注意してくださいね。熊沢さんも。
ジョージさんたちもくれぐれもご用心なさってくださいね。もう私には何が何やらさっぱりわかりませんとも。
それじゃあ僕たちは行きます。行こう、バトラ君、ジェシカちゃん。ほら、マリアちゃんも。
It's not how it's called from Maria. Looking at the pitiful expressions on the imprisoned pairs' faces, it got really hard to close the shutter. But we can't disobey. We're being watched. The shutter was brought down and locked. Then George walked towards the small window on the side of the storehouse. Outside, there was a small latticed window that could only admit light and ventilation. Like something from a jail, making the two of them seem even more pitiable. On the other hand, it would hopefully protect them from Kinzo and his subordinates. He opened the window and called out.
大丈夫ですか？寒くないですか？
ええ。毛布をこんなにいただきましたからね。くるまっていればきっと平気ですよ。
石油ストーブとかを持ってくればよかったな。
ここじゃ換気できないからね。辛いだろうけど今は仕方がない。僕たちは人質を取られている。逆らえない。
なんとかキレイさんたちを救出することができれば。
聞かれてるかもしれないよ。ゴーダさん、これそのシャッターの鍵です。
And it seems like he can't unlock it from the inside, even with the key. George threw the key in through the tiny window.
確かにお預かりします。
Oda took the key, showed it to Kumasawa, and placed it in his own pocket. Only one key to the gardening shed's shutter. That key was being held by the ones locked up inside of it. And we're gonna have a closed room mystery afterwards. Children had kept it, and had it stolen from them by some chance. That would do nothing but expose the lives of those in the shed to danger. And even with the key, the shutter could not be opened from the inside. Kinzo's demands were fulfilled this way. However, there was no longer any way to open the shed from the outside either. This protected them. Kinzo had ordered that they be confined, and he could do nothing but trust that this cold closed room would protect them. Jessica watched this while holding Maria's hand, and looked over the thickets in the pitch-black rose garden. Somewhere in this darkness, somebody was hiding, watching to see whether or not we obeyed orders or not. Of course, when we pointed our flashlights out there, No suspicious silhouettes appeared. Somebody was out there, hiding and watching. I was hit many times with an urge to scream at them, but I was able to hold that urge back through reason. 4 children left the area, repeatedly looking back over their shoulders. The light from the faint light bulb in the gardening storehouse was seeping out slightly. I wonder if this insane incident will come to an end somehow, so that we can meet those 2 again. But George, who had closed the shutter himself, the resistance of the lock made it feel as though he'd killed them with his own hands.
それでも俺たちは逆らえないんだよな。
If that window's the only real source of ventilation, well, it's easy enough to kill them then, without having to go inside. Just cut off the ventilation.
テストだと。クソじじいめ、ふざけやがって。それで母さんたちが殺されて、父さんたちが捕まって。理解できねえぜ。ぶっ殺してやる。
大丈夫だよ、ジェシカお姉ちゃん。悲しくなんかないよ。
Why not, Maria?
マリア。
もうすぐ魔女は蘇る。すぐに黄金鏡で会えるよ。あいて。
不謹慎なことで笑うんじゃねえぜ。何が魔女復活の儀式だ。妄想はじいさまの頭の中だけにしときゃいいものを大勢巻き込みやがって。こいつは高くつくぜ。
ゲストハウスに戻ろう。おじいさまから電話があった際に不在だったらまずい。
Urged on by George, everyone began walking towards the guest house. At that moment, Jessica turned in a circle, facing towards the darkness of Rose Garden and roared.
おい！誰か見てんだろ！ジジイに伝えとけ！絶対にぶち殺してやるってな！行こう。
Of course, there was no reply, only the howl of wind and rain. Children returned to the guest house, not fearing what was waiting for them up ahead. After they left, from the exact point in the darkness that Jessica yelled out, "Sure, yeah, sure, totally, that's totally what happened." He rapidly had sprung up.
ごめんなさい。バレてました。45がすっとろいからバレたに。竜王様に怒られる。
I mean, if they're gonna hide somewhere, between the bushes and the rose garden would be the obvious place.
ごめんなさい。竜王様に言いつけるのは許してください。
黙れ静かに。どうせハッタリだ。合田と熊沢の監禁は確認した。任務完了。報告に戻るぞ。
イエーイイエーイ。
Now? That's supposed to be like, yay, like yes?
泣いた。
連帯責任で人参と水だけの刑になりたいか。
So, which one was that? That was, I've been feeling like Vigilia reminds me of, Natsuhi. Anyways, Siesta 410, I guess, reminds me of Maria.
行くぞ。
For about 45, so. The fact that they were being watched certainly seemed to be true. When they returned to the cousin's room, turned the lights on, and laid down on their beds, the phone rang again. I mean, yeah. Easy enough to just see the lights turn on and then decide, okay, it's time. But I guess they then have to communicate that back. Earlier, Jessica had been answering the phone, seeing as this was her house, but now it's the eldest, George, who picked it. This time, Kiriya-san was on the other end of the line. George handed it to the butler out of consideration. Interesting.
もしもし。キリエさんか。そっちは大丈夫なのか。
Nope.
心配をありがとう。今のところは快適よ。ごめんなさい。死後は慎めと命令されてる。今から伝えることをよく聞いて。
This will be easier to work in some kind of hidden message in there. That would be my guess, at least. Or because he doesn't like idle chatter. Who knows? The fact that they were hostages still hadn't changed. Kinzo, or one of his subordinates, was listening to a conversation. Battler restrained the urge to talk about other things, focused on what Kirie had to say.
テストはジェシカちゃん、ジョージ君、バトラ君、
Maria?
そしてマリアちゃんの順で行われるそうよ。
In that order. Okay, so not together.
順番に呼び出すから、それまでその部屋を出ないこと。
Oof.
呼び出された者は一人で指定された場所に向かうこと。
In that case, was there really a need to separate out some... the... Umasawa and, Goda? Always makes up Goda and Genji. Yeah. I also wonder, do they return to the room or not? And if they return to the room, can they talk about it? Ashler repeated it out loud, so that the cousins listening in around him could hear.
ジェシカ、兄貴、俺、マリアの順で、呼び出しがあるまで部屋にいろ。だな。
In order of the siblings. Because, George is the oldest, but, Kraus is the oldest sibling.
わかった。マリアもなのかよ。
Yep.
9歳の子にまで。クソジジイは何を強いる気なんだ。畜生め。
I feel like it's either going to be Batter or Maria that able to beat the test.
後ろ宮家の命運はあなたたちに握られてるわ。頑張って。
うん。ああ。
Battler noticed the strange nuance in Kirie's words. Even without any blood connection, he could still understand thanks to the long-lasting bond they shared. At this point, it doesn't make sense to worry about the Ushimiya family itself. That probably wasn't the message Kirie wanted to send. Probably meant there's no way for us to escape from this dungeon, and we can only wait to be rescued. Our lives are in your hand. Hands. Plural, he's got two of them. Something like that.
ああ、任せてくれ。どんなテストか知らねえが上等だぜ。受けて立ってやら。本気のテストなんだよな。マジにやっちまっていいんだよな。
ええ、本気のテストよ。おじい様も本気で試すつもりでいるわ。
ダメだな。全然ダメだぜ。死にかけの老いぼれが俺と本気？寝言は棺に入ってから言いやがれ。そこにいるジジイに言っとけ。次期当主は俺だ。その最初の仕事はてめえの面に鉄拳ぶち込んでやることだってな。
Even without Kirie having to repeat it, Battler's powerful declaration of war reached Kinzo's ears.
バトラー、それは実に楽しみであるぞ。一度は後ろ宮の名を捨てた男が何を身につけ、何の境地に至って我が前に現れるというのか、楽しみにしている。そう伝えよ。
Unfortunately, Kinzo's voice was not picked up by the receiver. Therefore, Kirie spoke for him.
大いに上等だそうよ。
Interesting that his voice doesn't reach. So we don't get any confirmation of Kinzo's existence on the other side.
いいバトラ君。手加減は不要よ。あなたはルドルフさんの息子。いいえ、私の息子よ。誰に自慢しても恥ずかしくないところを私にも見せてちょうだい。あなたに全てを託すわ。
了解だぜ、母ちゃん。あとは任せておけ。
私たち全員は当主跡継ぎの資格を失っている。もう私たちは取られてゲーム版から外された駒も同然よ。
When you think about the game board being like Battler versus Beatrice, that's an interesting thought.
だからあなたたちだけで戦って。
キリエさ
The nuance of those words was, we've already given up, so forget about us. But for that very reason, I won't give up. I'll definitely crush this test or whatever, save everyone.
それでは、一番最初のジェシカちゃんへのテストの指示よ。自分の部屋へ行け、ですって。
自分の部屋？
お屋敷のジェシカちゃんの自室って意味のよね。
ジェシカに代わる。直接伝えてやってくれ。ジェシカ。
もしもし。はい。わかりました。私からか。
I'm looking forward to the music we get for Battlers 1.
もう覚悟決めたぜ。
Definitely gonna be some upbeat stuff. Energetic.
行ってくるぜ。
Even Jessica was probably tempted to succumb to the fear of a girl her age. She crushed those feelings and strengthened her resolve.
用心してね。
私たちは監視されてんだろ。余計なこともできない。言いなりになるしかないさ。
食堂でジジイは何のためらいもなく瞬く間に6人を殺したという。それは俺たちに対しても同じかもな。
分かってる。返り討ちにしてやるぜ。
無茶はダメだよ。危険だと思ったら自分を最優先にして。クラウスおじさんが自分のために娘が犠牲になったことを知ったら胸が張り裂けてしまうに違いないから。
逆も同じだぜ。父さんと母さんが殺されて私だけが生き残ったら私の胸だって張り裂けるぜ。
バトラ君、さっきの話は本当だよね。
What?
ああ、キリエさんたちはもう覚悟を決めている。
ならナオのこと上等だぜ。みんなの命は私たちの双剣にかかってるってことだ。人質みんなは囚われの身で何もできない。なら私たちが何とかするしかねえんだぜ。
もし何かあったらゲストハウスに逃げ戻って。その時点で僕たちがおじい様のゲームに付き合うのは終了だ。
兄貴。
その時点で僕たちは宣戦布告。どこかに閉じ込められている彼らを救い出し、おじい様にはしかるべき処遇を与える。
いいのか兄貴。シャノンちゃんもいるんだろ。
だからといって僕は座して婚約者が殺されるのを待ちはしないよ。僕が恐ろしいのはおじいさまにシャノンが殺されるかもしれないことに怯えることじゃない。僕の婚約者に恐怖を味わわせたクソじじいを君らが僕より先にぶん殴っちまうことだけさ。
なるほどな。確かにこいつは次期当主が誰かを決めるってテストらしいぜ。
だな。クソじじいの顔面に一番最初に拳をお見舞いしたやつが次の当主だぜ。
George, Battler, and Jessica each forcefully nodded their heads and put their fists together. Then, Jessica headed off to her own room, as designated. Her form disappeared into the darkness of the rose garden, waving in the strong winds. Watching her go, George and Battler gripped their fists even tighter, making them quiver. And on that note, I'll be ending it there for today. I hope you've all enjoyed. Let me know any feedback you have in the comments. And until next time, see ya.